What's going on, guys? It's Steven here, and I'm making a video about my experiences in the past year, and I'm making this video with the intention that I can change at least one person's perspective on psychedelics and their use, with the bigger goal being ultimately either more research on the subject or the just absolute legalization. Legalization's a bit of a stretch, though. I don't see that happening anytime soon, within the next decade. But, you know, I can at least try. So, when I was growing up, I was raised to be very anti-drugs. That's what my dad laid out for me. My mom never really had a stance on it, but like I didn't even drink alcohol for the first time until I was like 16. The first time I smoked pot was in 2015. I think I was 16 too. I smoked it once, and then in the next 2 years, I only smoked it like a handful of times. It was more of a social thing. Like a lot of my friends smoked pot, so it would be like, "Hey, you want to hang out? Yeah, sure. What are we gonna do?" And they're like, "Oh, let's get a little high." And I was like, "Oh, okay, sure." Um, it was more of a social thing than anything else. In 2017, once I had a job that I could sustain myself with, uh, that was when I started smoking regularly. And it's more of a tool that I use at the end of like a long workday just to relax, more than anything else. I don't really have a dependency on it. I could go forever without smoking it and I'd be fine. It's just I smoke it now because it's easy, it's relaxing, it's therapeutic, and it's you you know how if you just like sit there, like if you're just sitting on your phone in your room or whatever doing nothing, like a lot of people have do nothing days, and you know how you're fucking bored out of your mind and there's nothing to do. Pot smoke, like, it fixes that, because like you will never be bored if you're high. So that was kind of my solution to boredom. um my first time doing LSD was June 30th, 2017. Uh, Leading up to this, I had been watching a lot of MG. I've been listening to a lot of MGMT, and I've been watching a lot of their music videos, and they were one of my favorite bands at the time. And I was like, hey, they do this thing, they show all this cool shit. Like, I want to see that cool shit. Like, I want to experience this. And my buddy Brady was moving to Georgia in like a week. So I was like, fuck it. Like, Brady, you want to do acid? And he's like, sure. So I bought the tabs. He and I did it. I uploaded an entire video on my first time tripping. And that was pretty cool. It was a good experience for me. Since then, however, I've done acid. I've done acid a total of 7 times since June 2017. In the month of December alone, I did it 3 times, which is very irresponsible, and I'm struggling with the side effects of that now. It's a lot harder for me to speak and enunciate is the biggest thing that I've noticed, because like ever since like I did acid the first time, it expands your mind and your thinking is so rapid. And since then, that's just how my mind has been. I'm way more observant. I look around a room, I see a billion things, and I'm like, what does this do? Why does it do that? Why is this doing this? And this is ongoing constantly. It's changed just how I think. So when I'm speaking, I'll do this thing where I'm talking, and then suddenly my brain jumps a word ahead, and I mix the word that I was going to say with the word after it, and I stumble on my words and I trip. I've always had a stutter, so this isn't it's not like too much of a big deal for me. It's just I guess I'm more aware of it, and it bothers me more, but it's kind of something that's always been around. Like I've always done that. In July, I did shrooms. My friends that were with me, I had 2 friends with me. They ate 2.5 grams. They ate 2.5 grams, and they said that they had a very intense trip. It was they were having bad trips at the beginning of it, but towards the end, I believe that it calmed down. I ate 4.5 grams. They had 2.5 grams. I had 4.5 grams, and I felt nothing. Um, I smoked wax later in the night, and the wax got me higher than the shrooms. So I cannot speak for shrooms. I don't know what it's like. I haven't experienced it yet. Even though I've taken it, but like I haven't really done anything with it. So because of my experiences with both, I prefer acid, but I would do shrooms again. While I think I'm kind of done with acid now. Out of the 7 trips, only one of them has been a bad trip, and I don't believe that it was LSD that I took. I think it might have been N-Bohm, because of when I took the tab, my tongue was like it was kind of like a numbing feeling, like a buzz almost. It wasn't like my tongue was numb; it just kind of like my tongue felt tingly, and I hadn't felt that any of the other times that I had done acid. And also, like, that was, instead of getting it from my guy who's reliable, I got it from someone who was kind of shady because my guy was not available at the time. And this is where you, first of all, always test your tabs if you're ever going to do it. Second of all, stepping into the world of illegal drugs is very dangerous because nothing is regulated. And this is why I believe that all drugs should be legalized, because they're gonna be out there anyways. It doesn't matter. They're gonna get into the hands of people, but we should at least have some kind of safety net for when they do. People should be able to make a decision for themselves. They should be able to either get a prescription or make the decision themselves that I want this substance. I think that this substance would be good for me, and as an adult, they should be able to make a responsible decision for that. If the government regulates all drugs, N-Bohm is never going to be an issue. People are never going to get bad tabs. People are never going to die from it. People are, it's stupid that, like, people are going to do this anyway. Why should they put their lives at risk unnecessarily? Acid will not kill you. Acid will not kill you. You will not overdose on it, I promise. If you overdose on it and die from the drug, it is not acid. It's something else. That doesn't mean that bad trips don't occur, because like my bad trip, it was fucking awful. I was going to kill myself at a point in the trip because it was that bad. And I've heard that things like this are common. If you're not in the right state of mind going into the trip, it's just going to amplify that. It's going to amplify all those emotions, and it's going to be rough, you know. So that whole tangent aside, what I've gained from the LSD trips, it's changed my perspective on everything. Literally who I am as a person now compared to who I was a year ago. I was so naive. I trusted everything. I had no experience with anything. I don't know. I don't know where to start with this. When I was growing up, I was always a smart kid. I was straight honor roll all through elementary school. I went to a special school for arts and science in 6th grade. It was a school that you had to test into. I tested in one of the higher percentages. I was a smart kid. I had a lot of teachers vouching for me too, saying like, holy shit, this is one of the smartest kids I've seen in my entire career. And so because I had all of this influence as a child, I always viewed myself as more intelligent than the people around me. And this may be true to an extent. Like, I pick up on concepts a lot faster, my memory is a lot better. Overall, my learning is just better than a lot of the people I interact with. But this doesn't make me better than people. And this is what LSD made me realize. Just because, nobody is better than anybody, first of all. It's your actions and your values determine your worth as a person. You need to ask yourself at the end of the day, who do you want to be? And for me, I want to be nice. I just want to be good to be around. That's what I want. I want to be helpful. I want to be useful. I want people to be like, oh, Steve, yeah, he's a cool dude. That's ultimately what I want for myself. I don't want to be smarter than other people. I don't want to go around with a chip on my shoulder viewing everybody as less than me. It's retarded. That way of thinking was so dumb, and I went my entire life thinking that way. And here's the ironic part too. I have severe depression. I was diagnosed with it maybe, it's like 2016 was when I got an official diagnosis, but my whole life I've gone through, I've been to therapy a few times for it. I've attempted suicide 3 times. And is this has been an everyday struggle. This is like where my mind is constantly. Like I'll be interacting with somebody at work. It's just like, okay, so like I'm on the cash register, and because that's a shift I can do. I'll be on the cash register, somebody comes up, they say something to me I don't really understand, so like immediately, but I need to think of a response because it's awkward to just stand there in silence. So I say something, doesn't make any sense, the situation's awkward, they walk away, they forget about it. But me, I remember it. I'd be like, holy shit, that's retarded. And then there's a little voice in the back of my head that's like, you should kill yourself. That would fix that little awkward scenario. And this was like, for most of my life, the little voice in the back of my head saying to do that has been overwhelming. It's constantly been a struggle to fight with that. But after my trips with LSD, I I understand that that's just how my brain works, and I have to deal with it. And it doesn't control me, because there are so many different thoughts that I have throughout a day. There's just random things like it's just a part of being human, you know. It's like what if like a gunman came in and started shooting the place up? What would I do to save it? Or like, oh, this person is being an asshole to me. What if I just punched them in the face? Just thoughts like that. It's in the same bubble as that, I think. So those thoughts just come in. It's just a natural thought, and it's just out, and I ignore it and I leave it alone. And I don't think that I would have been able to keep it under wraps as well as I did if it weren't for the LSD. So I'm very grateful for that. And another thing, and while I can sit here and I can preach about how much good it's done for me, I can also talk about how much bad that it's equally as bad, I believe, because towards the end of it, I full on developed a psychological addiction to LSD. I just, like, I'd be at work and I'd be like, man, what if I was tripping right now? Like, I'd be at home and like, man, I really wish I was tripping right now. It was so bad to, like, when I had the bad trip and when I did what I thought was N-Bome, it was the night before my little sister's birthday. I took it at midnight because that was the earliest that I could get the tabs, and I was like, fuck it, I really want to do it tonight. So I took it at midnight, and I had to be at my little sister's birthday party at 1 p.m. And an average trip lasts 12 hours, so I was not going to get any sleep that night, and I didn't even think about it. I just took it, and I was like, fuck it, I'll figure it out. But once you're on it, you can't really figure it out, you're just along for the ride. So I was sitting on my computer, and because I was on such a high dose, I was talking to my friends on Discord, and I just couldn't remember anything. My memories didn't feel real. Things that had actually happened to me felt like they didn't happen. They felt like it was just a dream from forever ago. And things that didn't happen to me, they felt like they did, and it was a lot more intense. Like, I had another trip where we had a party. It was like 5 of us tripping acid, and then a bunch of other people that were there. And we were on high doses of acid too, so it was fucking crazy. I had no idea what was going on. I threw up at one point in the night. I threw up all over myself and all over the bathroom, and because I was so high on the acid, I couldn't even figure out like what the fuck was going on. It was just like a drooly, like just kind of dumb like dream, and I wasn't really aware of what was going on. And my friends didn't care because like people throw up all the time. We drink, you know. We have a lot of drinkers in the group. A lot of people throw up. It's no big deal. But to me, it was like, holy shit! Like I ruined this. Like I just ruined the bathroom for everybody. I ruined the upstairs because it smelled like puke and nobody wanted to be up there. And it was like, it didn't bother me during that trip, but when I was on the bad trip a month later, I started going through the thought process again, and I was like, wow, I fucked that up for everybody. I'm a fuck up. Like, I'm on drugs right now. I'm on hard drugs. And because of how I said at the beginning of the video how I had been raised my whole life to be anti-drug, I viewed it as the devil. I viewed it as this horrible thing that I'm putting into myself. I failed. I disappointed my parents. I fucked up everything possible, and it spiraled me further and further into my depression. And I just, at one point in the night, when I was laying there trying to go to sleep, maybe 20 minutes went by, and I couldn't deal with it anymore. I got up to go to my kitchen to get a glass of water, and right next to the sink is our set of knives. So I picked up a bread knife, and I was going to slit my throat right then and there, because it was better than however long the trip was going to last. Thankfully, my friend Evan came and got me, and he took me away from that setting, and we went for a drive. We went through a bunch of the neighborhoods that we grew up in. We just told stories about like the kids that we grew up with, and it put me away from like the bad trip that I was going on, and it put me right back to like a good trip, and I enjoyed the rest of it thanks to him. And I honestly believe that night I would have killed myself if it weren't for him. So if you are ever considering about doing psychedelics, you need to assess yourself. You really need to ask yourself, like, who am I? Is this going to negatively impact me? Because any negative thoughts that you have throughout the day, if you worry, if you're depressed, if you're hard on yourself, if you're anxious, is going to amplify that a million times, and it's going to be a living hell. So you need to recognize, is this going to be good for me? If not, don't do it. If it is, it's life-changing. It will... I'm not claiming it to be some kind of miracle drug, but for me personally, it solved all of the issues that I had with myself. So, thank you for hearing my piece. I know it's kind of a long video. I'm going to link in the description a Google Doc, and it has all of my experiences with LSD, so you can read that. You can get kind of a feel for what I've been through. And other than that, that's where I'm going to end it. So thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for listening if you have this long. It's kind of a long video, so I'd understand if you didn't, but, you know, peace out, bros.